The next step for steel is to focus on our steel beams or steel girders. Let's go to the structure panel, and I'm still on structure level 2, and I'm going to load in a beam here. Now I don't want it to be concrete and I don't want it to be a W flange. I want it to match my columns, so I'm going to go ahead and load a family. But keep in mind this is not in the structural columns folder. We need to go up to the English Imperial Library, and we need to go into the structural framing, go to steel, and find the HSS hollow structural section. I'm going to go ahead and find the same profile, which is a 10 by 10 by 3/8. And now this is very similar to the concrete columns. I can go on the grids and it will go from column to column, or I can go to modify and just draw in the sketch. So here I'm going to go from, I'm going to turn chain on here, and what this will allow me to do is draw a series of them in a row. And I'm just going to draw out the perimeter. And for right now, I'm just going to frame directly into my structural concrete. Let's go ahead and add one more beam here. Now, keep in mind, I don't need an extra steel beam here, because this is how, these are where my joists are going to frame into, and I don't need to double up. I can have like a steel plate or something where the steel joists rest on. So taking a look at our 3D section, you can see, or sorry, our 3D structure, we can see that I'm missing a couple here, so I'm going to go back. I can right click on these elements and create similar, and this will adopt all of the original elements. So with steel columns, or sorry, with steel beams, you have what's called a cutback. And if I select this, the cutback, you can change this to 0 if you want it to end flush, but usually this allows for a little bit of welding to happen. Now it's tube steel to tube steel, so there would probably be a weld there, unless there's a sort of a fitting. You can right click all of these, select all instances in entire project if you want to change them all to 0 at once, and then you can see that their start and their end ends flush. So now if I go to structure, you can see that this is all framed out and it's ready for joists. So changing these members is just the same as changing your structural columns. We can edit the type, we can duplicate it, and we can change these, but it might actually be better to go into and load a new beam family with smaller dimensions. So now here we can go here and change this to an 8 by 8, and you can see that it shrinks, and it's still on the center line, so it's still snapping to the top of the floor as well. And we're going to have to go ahead and change that, but for right now we don't exactly know where the floor is. So let's move on to joists in the next video.